we're gonna put together a 16x8 French door frame. As you can see, I basically got it kind of together. You have two sides, a top and a bottom. You're gonna wanna use these longer screws to connect the frame together. Your top is always gonna have 4 that will connect into your header piece. And then you always want these facing out for your hinges. Once you get that all together, you want to dry fit your frame like any other door or any other frame you're going to install. Make sure you got enough wiggle room, and then make sure you can, get everything perfectly in place. Okay, these are your top hinge rollers. Dude, what I like to do first is you're gonna go to the side of your frame, your header frame that's got the hole in there. Now you can put these in, but I find it to be a little more difficult. So what I like to do is just make sure these are in. Make sure this is facing the outside of your frame. Okay, and I just like to put them in first before I attach everything. It's a lot easier that way. There. Now when you go to install the screws, be very careful about the amount of pressure you're putting on them, because once you get them to a certain, once you start getting them going, they can snap on you. I mean, you got to pry the frame apart and then take the screw out and put a new one in. So what you got to do is you're going to take your frame, you're going to insert it like so, and make sure everything lines up. You got to line it up perfect. And you take a screw, put one in, because they don't like to stay attached to your impact. And what I do is go real nice. What I do is I go like that. As soon as that basically stops moving, you're good to go.
Awesome. And you just repeat the step for all 4 of
And
those.
repeat the step for all 4, as well as the bottom only takes 2 screws though. Make sure it's imperative you don't break one of those screws. So just like the French doors, you have an inside and an outside. The inside of your frame is always going to be fatter than the outside, so that'll help you indicate which is in and which is out. And we'll move on to the next step. All right, so now that the frame is built, it should look something like this. Of course, your roller hinges, you want the stubby side facing out, and 50-50, these rollers, when you go to attach it to the door, will be facing the right way. Sometimes this hinge right here will be backwards. So what you'll have to do is take the nut off. There's a set screw. You can pull this apart, flip it around, and put it back in so that it attaches to the door correctly. After you make sure everything is correct, what we're gonna do is we'll lean the door back, we'll glue or silicone the bottom threshold, and then we'll start to attach our lags into the sides so we can set our door. Good. You said no. Now that you got your frame secured to the sides, I always end up using these screws right here to put my header. Now what I'll do is I'll find center. I'm generally trying to just guess it. Sometimes I'll measure it and I'll put one of these in. Now these do have to go right in the center of the header. If it's off to the side a little bit, the wheels will hit it and make a noise. So if you don't get them centered, then this wheel will catch it and you'll hear it go, you'll hear it make a noise, and you don't want that. So you'll have to recenter your screw. In the center first, I'll have him watch it to make sure I don't lift it up too high, and then I'll go to the sides and put one in each side for now. Then after that, the header's secure, then we'll go to setting our doors. And repeat the process on the sides, and we'll go to setting our doors. You'll find these screws basically in the lag section because they replace lag.
Installing the hinges It's pretty self-explanatory. You go just like that. The door connects to this part, the 4 holes in the frame. I have found that the best way to do it is with the drill. That's full power. Dial it down. I use number 16 on my drill. The best way to do it is, these are not threaded, the holes. So you want to go, see how it stops? Back it out. So you get it like self-tapping. Then you do all 4 the same way. Then you install your hinges. Like that. And you hear the drill stop. It keeps it from stripping the screws by dialing it down.
All right, now when you do get your doors delivered, they are labeled from A to B, C, D, E, F. On a 16-footer, you have 6 panels, so you're gonna have A through F. You always end up starting with your A door. If it's a 12-footer or any other one, just because that's your end door. But on the 16-footer, you can start with either A or F and then work your way towards the middle. And that's how that'll work. All right, so just like the frame, of course, you do have an inside and an outside to the door. And always know the bottom by the logo. Now, the inside of the door is gonna have a thicker part of the frame. That'll be your inside facing in, of course, towards that, that's your inside, and the outside doesn't really have that lip. So it's just mainly like the frame. And then your starting door should always have this hole. Should always have this hole for your first latching handle. And then that will be facing, whichever way you're going. Whichever way this is in, this is where your first hinges will go that are attached to the frame. And then these will go on the inside towards the next door. Now that he's got the hinges attached to the door, while he's attaching the other hinges to this door, I'm gonna put in whatever you want to call it. I call it a lever handle. And you attach it in this spot right here where the hole was. And it'll come with these screws that come in a handy bag. And they're the littler screws that look like this. They're the littler ones. So then what you do is you turn your handle where it's facing in, attach it to there like so. All right. You take your screws and you put them in the holes nice and gently like. Well, there we go. This one's nice and snug. Like so. Nice and snug. And it'll operate the locking pins on the top and bottom of the door that keep it in place in your frame. Now it also comes with little black caps. They come with these little black caps to cover the screw holes. Really hard to see, but it does have writing. Because I'm me, I always want to make sure it's facing the right way when I install. Nobody ever notices it, but I do. And it comes 2 per. And then Ken will attach the hinges onto this door and we'll move on to the next. There you go.
All the hinges are the same, except this particular door gets a handle hinge. It goes right here. Make sure you have this inside, and we'll explain later what that's for. The other hinges are just the same as the other ones. This is the door will get a handle.
Installed the E door, you're gonna have a higher hinge and a lower hinge than what you normally see, and that'll be for your top and bottom roller hinge. Now, like I explained earlier, I'm always 50-50 when it comes to the top and bottom rollers, whether they're facing the right way or not to install. Now you see how the hinge is facing that way? The top one, it needs to be facing the other way. So what Ken will do is he'll take this nut off, he'll pull this part down, take out the set screw, flip it, and then reinstall it.
Metric Allen keys, not standard.
Your bottom hinge and top hinge should be this part facing out towards the yard or wherever the case may be. This side, because the doors are coming from this way, you see how if we put them in, that's not gonna connect with the inside of the frame. It needs to be facing that way. So again, he'll go ahead and remove this little set screw, pull this off, take this hinge, take these apart, flip it around, reinstall it so it's facing the right way so you can install the hinge correctly. See what he'll do is he'll take the set screw out.
The top only has one set screw on the one side. The bottom wheels have two. Make sure you do not, make sure the little washers are still intact when you put it back together. And it's that simple. Tighten it back up. Just always make sure it's still facing straight out, because this has an hexagon shape. Now you can see that this lines up properly. This one will be for the next door you install. That one will mount like that.
Now that he's got that attached, the door's hanging a little low. A lot of your adjustments will be done through either your top roller hinge or through the header itself, depending, what screws need to be tightened up or lessened. That's your main adjustments. Some will be a little bit on the side if you're not perfectly level, but it's mainly through the header and through your top wheel. You can see that the hinge is up way further than the screw itself. You're gonna wanna get that nice and tight. Make sure the wheel sits properly in the header. Sometimes it'll wanna jump or move on you. You can get like a little nut driver for it. I like to do everything by hand. Don't over tighten, under tighten. That's what it should look like. It'll go better once the bottom wheel's in. I'm pressing out, but.
Now that he's adjusted and took the weight up, the bottom wheel should line up, or you may even have to pick it up a little bit, and then you can go ahead and install it.
Now that we've installed the D door, what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna attach all the hardware. The D door actually has the locking side, your handle side, the man door or traction door. So what I'll do is I'll peel all the tape back, I'll install the handle and the lock, and then we'll move on to A door. Same exact thing.
Yep, just repeat the process.
last door to install would be the C door, you know, whichever way you want to come from on a 16-footer, which is your strike door. That door will close into and lock into. Once you install this door, you close them, see if they're going to close properly. Sometimes there's some adjustments to be made to make sure they line up, they don't hit, other things of that nature. And then you won't know until you get the door installed and try to close them, what type of adjustments need to be made. And then after you get them closing properly, the next step would be to foam it in with your door foam. And then I like to generally leave it closed and locked overnight for everything to set up. That way, once all the door foam adheres to everything, it stays in its place. And then it should be golden after that. This is your 16-foot by 8 French door option. As soon as you get these doors, these last two doors installed, what you want them to do, with very little to any adjustments, get them to close, get it to lock in. Once it closes, and you can lift the handle and the locking pins engage nicely, you're done.
Because our concrete slab is not perfect, but our door is working perfect, this bottom wheel drags a little bit where there's a little hump in the concrete, but it's very easy to adjust. You unscrew it and take it off, and then you can loosen that set screw and raise the wheel just a little bit, like 1/8 of an inch, and it'll get rid of that problem. In order to do that, you do need these doors fully open, but it will come right off. That hex side with the wheel, you loosen it.
Ooh, that's freaking hot.
And you raise the wheel, I generally do very slightly, 1/8 inch or so.
Take it.
Reinstall it.
And
It glides perfectly. It doesn't grind anymore. It will not affect any of the adjustments you previously did from the top and have to work your handle working good and everything.